Hey, this is John McElroy of Rocky Mountain Fast Guy, and you're listening to the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show podcast. And now you're listening to the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Here are your hosts, Joe and Nick.
Welcome to the 13th episode of the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Welcome, Nick.
Welcome, Joe.
How are you today, buddy?
I'm okay. How about you?
I'm doing well. As always, if you're listening to the show and you like the show, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Nick, we do have another guest today.
And who would that be?
That would be Johnny Dee. Mr. Johnny Dee played drums in Britny Fox from the late 80s, early 90s. And he is currently drumming with Doro Pesh.
Doro. Cool.
So we're going to hit him up, talk to him a little bit today, and maybe we'll even do some trivia.
More trivia.
Hello?
Mr. Johnny Dee, how are you?
I'm good, man. I didn't even get your name.
I'm Joe, and Nick is my co-host.
How you doing, Johnny?
What's up, guys?
Not much, man.
You sound tired.
I'm a little worn out. I did a gig this weekend, so, after not doing any for the last 3 or 4 months. But, yeah, it's all good.
So this was a driving gig you guys did, right?
It was, yeah. It was a trip, man. I wasn't really sure what to make of that, but it turned out pretty good. And, Doro does what she does, and that kind of changes the game a bit because she refuses to just not get involved. So she went out there in the crowd and tried to get people fired up, and by the end of it, they were just going for it, which was pretty cool.
I saw some clips of it that she had posted on her, I think it was her Instagram, and it looked like it was pretty successful.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's the safest bet, I guess, at this point, and it was nice to get back to doing it. I don't know exactly from what the public's perspective was, because they didn't have a PA system. They only had the audio mixed for the car stereo, so you had to tune in through your stereo. I mean, there's some overlap coming off the stage and stuff, but because I was told it's a completely different, set of permits for a big live show outside, and there's a lot of residents around the area where this thing was taking place. So, but man, everybody seemed to have a good time. I think people were just happy to have something, something to do, and the closest thing to a show at this point. So we were all surprised, and we all had a good time. And we've got, I think, 1 or 2 more coming up. So at least we know what to expect now.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to be something that's going to continue for the foreseeable future?
Well, I guess it's not for everybody, I mean, it's especially for this band. We're a very connected kind of thing. I mean, she, that's just her thing. Without the connection with the audience, it's like, she almost forgets about the band at some point and just is kind of so focused on the audience and getting them into it that it's a very intense thing, feeding off of each other like that. But so I wouldn't assume that every band would even think it's a good idea, but we wanted to try it and see how it went. And I think, honestly, I never thought she would go for it. I would think she would be like, no way, I can't do my thing because people aren't up front,
Right,
even when there's a barricade in front of the stage, she gets, a little nervous because she's like, I can't really, feel it. Or if we're on a festival stage where the audience is like, 10 meters away or something, it's always, a little bit tougher for her to do her thing. But so the fact that she really enjoyed it means that, it was a success, and the audience seemed to as well. So I think anybody that wants to perform, and obviously some promoters are looking to get back to, at least some sort of normality. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it could continue. I think it's a better, safer option than just opening doors and just, flooding them with people. And
Right.
yeah, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see if it picks up, or if it's, going to be a limited thing, or just, not see what the fans kind of think, But judging by yesterday, it seemed like the people that were there didn't mind at all.
Now, was this in Germany you did this show?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
And you're living out there now, or are you just
Yeah,
out there?
no, I do. I moved here about a year and a half ago, and yeah, after 27 years in the band, I finally moved here a year ago. I should have done that like a long time ago, but
27
yeah,
years with Doro. Wow.
yeah, pretty crazy, right?
So just right after Britny Fox broke up, you started with her?
Yeah, not too much longer.
Yeah.
Maybe, there might have been a year in
Mm-hmm.
between where there was just no touring or anything happening. And then I got a call that, another friend of mine who had gotten in the band before me recommended me to her when they were, about to change drummers. And yeah, I remember him from Britny Fox. Cool. Let's check him out, So I got back into it, and it was a good thing, actually. I mean, she's super cool, and
Yeah.
the timing was right too, because it was kind of like a wasteland for rock and roll at that time, like
Yeah.
93. It was pretty dull, and not, I mean, it was jumping with the Seattle scene,
The
but
grunge
as far
scene.
as, yeah, all the other bands, the glam or the pop or the rock bands were not getting any love. So coming over here was like, whoa, man, people are still like totally into, going to big shows and stuff like that. And she had a record in the charts in 93. So it was like, wow, this is awesome.
Now she's pretty big over there in Germany, right?
Yeah, she's part of the rock and roll culture here. I mean, she
Right.
was the first real female uh, heavy metal singer, and she's just really, the people embrace her, and they're part of her. I mean, she's part of their life, and
Right.
just like some of the bands we grew up on are, that may not be big somewhere else. There's plenty of bands from the States that really never broke too big anywhere else. So it's kind of that. And Germany's pretty small overall, but for the size of the country, they have a ridiculously awesome music scene, and just buying tickets, and product, and their loyalty was always pretty impressive to me, that you could come over here, do a tour, even a small one, win people over, and you could literally come back here for the rest of your life, like a band
Right.
like the Hooters or
Yeah.
something that doesn't even tour their own country anymore, comes over here every year, and just like, people still love to hear them. And yeah, so it's she's definitely got her, her little niche.
Right. Right. Now this whole COVID-19 thing, of course, it's all over the world, but did it hit Germany really hard?
Yeah, it did, but I wouldn't say, obviously not as hard as the U.S. or Italy and a couple of the other countries over
Mhm.
here. They did a pretty good job, closing things up pretty quickly. And yeah, again, it's not it's not nearly as huge as the States. So, you always have that on a smaller scale. But yeah, they did quite well overall. And but it's still risky, and still a lot of people on either side of the fence. People that are just kind of blowing it off, and then people that are going, a little more cautious with everything, because I guess if you really look at it, it doesn't seem to be that it's going to be over anytime soon.
Now, we I'm sure you hear that we're jumping back up here in the U.S.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
states are going back up. But I think it might be just because of more testing. So hopefully that's the case.
That's the thing. The numbers are
Yeah.
a little bit hard to tell. I think even here they had a little spike. It was like 300 more in a day this week or something like that, but I haven't actually checked.
Right.
All I saw was that since some stuff was relaxed, that there was a few more cases jumping up again. So I mean, it must be either more testing or just the fact that people are going out without any real, care about what they're doing, or the masks aren't working. I'm not sure what it is, but
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you where I'm at. I'm in South Carolina, and where
Mhm.
I'm at, when you go out,
You
seems
never know
like people
anything was-
forgot it.
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like people forgot what was happening because no one's wearing masks anymore. All the restaurants, bowling alleys are packed.
I mean, even when
Which-
everything was closed, it was everything
Same.
going on. Yeah.
Hmm.
Barely any change.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I just saw some stuff about Nashville this week, and I was like, man, those people are nuts. But it seemed to be like young kids flocking to bars and stuff, whereas, they're always, if anyone's going to go put their life on the line, it's going to be somebody that's like 21 or something, just because they can't, they don't want to sit around and
Yeah.
be stuck in, which is, I mean, I hope it doesn't come back and bite everybody in the ass, but yeah, it's hard to, unless you know somebody that really was, truly affected. I think it's hard for most people to really relate or to believe, or, because there seems to be all this, um, differences of opinion and facts and what numbers that this mean. Is it because more people were tested here, or was it, literally because the numbers jumped? So everybody's kind of like, what is going on?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But-
speaking of 21,
Yeah.
how old were you when you joined Britny Fox?
I think I was like 24 or so.
Okay.
I did.
What year did you join them?
87.
So you weren't an original member, or you just joined them?
I joined. Well, I was not original. The band formed in like I don't know, maybe 85 or 86, and it was
Okay.
two members of Cinderella, two ex-members, and Michael Kelly Smith and Tony Destra, who were let go from the band when they got signed to Polygram, and then they hooked up with Dizzy Dean Davidson and formed Britny Fox. So it was literally half of Cinderella and two other guys, and Tony played in the band, did the original demos and a lot of shows, and then they showcased for a label one night in Jersey, and they were told that they were going to get signed that night. So he was so excited that I guess he just, he tried to, get home as soon as he could to tell his wife, and he was super excited, and he ended up crashing his car that night and killing himself. So
Oh,
it was
geez.
really
Jeez.
unfortunate
Yeah.
set of circumstances that on the happiest night of their, short career, that it ended up one less member, and then they had a guy in the interim named Adam Ferrioli, and then they asked me to join in '87, right before the first album was recorded.
Okay, so when your first album came out, I remember, I mean, I could be wrong, but was Long Way to Love the first single off that?
Yeah. Hmm.
And that did fairly well, if I remember right.
Yeah, it did pretty good. I mean, we were, we were never a big chart band. We never had a huge single or anything, but thankfully because of MTV, we went into like the daily top 10 or
Yeah.
whatever, just from fan calls alone.
Yeah.
Our fan base just went crazy and started, attacking MTV and requesting the Long Way to Love video, and next thing you know, we're in like the countdown every day, and with all these other big bands, and then really put us into a huge exposure thing, and we landed the Poison tour because of that, and then once we went out with them, it was like Girls School came out, and our record went gold.
We all remember Girls School.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Now,
was our.
That show it was Adam Curry was the host of that MTV show, wasn't he?
Was that the countdown?
The countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top
Was that
10,
his name?
Top 10 countdown.
Yeah, Curry.
Adam
And
Curry,
he also did some, I guess he did some Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the first host. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Long Way to Love was at #1 on that show, I think, for a long time.
Yeah, we knocked somebody out. I don't know if it was Def Leppard or something, but
I think it was Def Leppard.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing that happened. But I guess we just had such a relentless fan base that was calling for us. And I won't lie, I'll say that we actually called in a few times ourselves. So.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And then
my mom actually called in once and requested us, and I think Adam put her on the air. That was pretty hilarious, man.
Ma, call in.
Yeah.
the Poison tour, was that with Lita Ford also?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I saw that tour in probably Lakeland, Florida. I think it was.
Yeah, I think there was some shows without her. It was either after she left or before she came on. There was a few, like a short leg, where it was just us and them. But yeah, for the most part, it was a triple bill with her sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah, I think I still have some photos somewhere. That was back in the day when you had to get your film developed.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
You didn't know what kind of shots you had.
Yeah, right. It was all kind of like just pray.
I'll tell you what, though, back in the day, though, we had to sneak in the cameras to the concerts too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! Yeah.
When we'd go get the film,
stories.
We'd get the film developed, and it's pretty exciting waiting for it to come back to see what kind of shots you got.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully not like big flash bulb, and that's all you see, or back of somebody's head, or.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, were you sneaking like a real, like an SLR in?
No, it was
just the Instamatic
like
type.
like a little Kodak, like a brick, like a little brick. I would stick it in the bottom of my shoe. And that's how I would get it in every time. Yeah.
A buddy of mine used to. This is like, man, going way back, but he used to. He would dismantle his camera, and he'd put like the lens down his pants, and then the body. One time he like pretended he had a broken arm, and he just like wrapped his arm with the body of the camera in there, and just like everything you could think of. And he actually
pretty good.
Got some cool shots back in the day of some early shows that we went to.
Yeah, we would take the photos, and then the flash would go off, and you'd have to duck down so the security wouldn't see you. Fun time.
Kind of like smoking a joint.
They were strict with those photos, I'll tell you.
And now look at it.
Yeah, you can't stop that, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I know some bands have tried.
They've tried, yeah.
It's pretty silly, actually.
Put your phone in this kind of pouch or something that locks up.
Yeah, these kids today, they don't know the things we went through.
No, the struggles.
Are you guys drinking coffee by any chance? What's the deal with the show name?
Well, Coffee Stain was a website it was coffeestain.com that I had back in like 98, 99. And that site was dedicated to the local Florida music scene. And it was became like the go-to site for Florida music. So we started a radio show, kind of like a podcast. I was just discussing this with our last guest last
Before
week.
podcast, yeah.
Yeah, it was a podcast before podcasts. And we would record it in our little studio we built in our garage. We would have bands come down and play, and kind of like we're doing now, and talk.
Yeah.
And we would have to upload it in a real player file. Remember that real player?
Yeah, I remember you had to
Yeah.
download those early podcasts.
Yeah. So we would upload it, and then you would have to click on the link and download to play it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stuck, Coffee Stain. And then when we decided to do this a couple months back, I said, you know what? I'm going to keep coffee in there. I like coffee.
Joe likes
Yeah,
coffee.
cool. Yeah,
You like coffee, you say,
I
right?
do. Yeah, actually, quite a coffee fan for sure.
I'll have to send you a rock and roll and coffee show coffee mug.
Oh, that sounds good. Hopefully they won't hold it up at customs. They're pretty brutal over here.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never shipped anything to Germany, so. But yeah, I'll send you one. I'll get your address off the
Cool,
air, and
man.
I'll send you one.
Appreciate it.
So Britny Fox's debut album came out in '88, and then I noticed that Boys in Heat. I didn't realize this till I was just kind of refreshing on some stuff. It came out in '89. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
So a year between, and that's a pretty quick release.
it was. We, like you said earlier, we had some good momentum going with the first one. We had gone gold, and still was kind of moving while we were on tour. We ended up going out with Rat for another couple months, and the record was up to about 800,000 copies, and we were super psyched,
Wow.
of course. And we're like, man, we're gonna hit platinum if we keep going. We got to put out a third single. What's it gonna be? Everybody puts a ballad out for a third single, so it was like, okay, Save the Week's gonna be the third video and stuff. So that came out, and it did, I guess, okay. It didn't do nearly as well as the first two did. And the momentum kind of shifted at that point. And then instead of like coming back with a kick-ass rock tune, like something like Goodbye to Jane, for example, or, anything else off of the first record that, you could have picked, Fun in Texas, or, there was a ton of stuff that could have, I think the band and management felt that could have knocked us over the platinum mark. And for some idiotic reason, the label was like, no, come off the road, we're going to make another record. And we were like, what? Like, you
Right.
can't do that. Like, when we're like almost there, and they were like, no. And so basically we went back in and started, recording another album. And at that point was, things got kind of hairy within the band, because all of a sudden, Dean had a ton of songs cataloged. He always did. We had such an overload of tunes to pick from, but the first album was fairly easy to select, because those were the strongest songs that we always played live and stuff. But then the second, while we were on tour, Dean was writing, and he was being influenced by a lot of stuff that was going on MTV. A lot of what people, his peers or people we were touring with, were telling him. So he started, basically, maybe he even saw the writing on the wall that not that he was writing grunge tunes, but he started to write a little bit more in the vein of bluesy, Black Crowes kind of. A little bit country-ish or whatever. And I think even Cinderella might have had, influence on him again. That when they did Heartbreak Station, it was a very, rootsy kind of bluesy.
Yeah, that was a
rock
bluesy
album.
album.
Yeah, so Dean started going down that path, and the band, we were all a little bit like, man, we should stick with the formula that we,
Yeah, you wanted to keep riding that wave.
Yeah, and so then things started getting weird, and we went and did Boys in Heat, and even submitting the album cover ideas and title that we had. I think we had something like Fuel the Fire or something for a title, and they were like, no, we hate it. And Dean like blurts out, what about Boys in Heat? And they were like, love it, man, love it. And so, it was like right from the beginning, everything we kind of suggested was getting, denied, and we had to kind of play that game with the label where, you want to stand your ground, but you also don't want to piss them off because then you kind of
Right.
lose, you lose in the end. So that record to me actually came out really good, but I think it just had some kind of, you know, some kind of mojo or voodoo working on it because it just never took off, and it was a major down slip from the first one. And
What do they call that? The sophomore jinx, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much, man. But we had internal problems, and that was starting to come to a head. So it was really tough for us to get to that point. And we actually had a cool tour in Europe with Alice Cooper when the record just came out, and we thought, okay, this is a new start. We'll work Europe. We'll kind of open it up a little bit, and we went over really well over there. And then while we were on tour in Europe, we had solidified the Kiss Hot in the Shade tour, I believe it was, and we were pretty psyched to come back to the States and jump on a big tour like that. And then again, something happened in the process, and they said Kiss was going to postpone the tour due to lack of ticket sales. And then here we were without an arena tour. We had no other choice but to go out and headline some clubs. And again, the momentum started to sink down. So it was a tough time.
And then Dean left, and you tried to continue with a new singer, right?
Yeah, Dean left in a huff during that club tour.
Yeah, what was going on with that? Why'd he leave?
Well, that was what I was mentioning earlier, just the differences of opinion, like musical
Mhm.
direction, the old, that old line. Basically, we had all of us and our manager kind of fighting to stay true to the first album, and Dean wanting to, grow as an artist or whatever his, motivation was, or he wanted to lose you know, the image and tone it down, and kind of go to this like Rolling Stonesy kind of thing. And Black Crowes were big, so he was digging on them. And of course we all liked those bands, but we were like of the mindset that let's just we said that we liked AC/DC and Kiss on the first album. Why don't we just like wait a while before we start changing our sound completely? If you go by AC/DC's book, you basically make the same kind of record every time, until you just
Yeah.
keep making great records. But that wasn't to be, because we had a difference of opinion. So while we were on tour, he managed to, like, behind our backs, form a new band, get a bunch of people together, and it was just like, what the hell is going on? We had no idea. So we were left with our pants down a little bit, but kind of happy to be rid of all the nonsense. And what's that?
Do you still talk to those guys?
Over the years, at times, Dean and I reconnected a bunch, like not too long after all that went down. But I was kind of always the guy that was trying to be the mediator. I really just wanted to see the band continue to be a band, and not be like four people that are constantly fighting over what decisions should be made, or you know what should be louder in the mix, and all that stuff. Is like,
Right.
you start as a band and then you end up just being four people that are just kind of like sick of each other, I mean, not every band, but for the most part, a lot of bands suffer from that. So, yeah, I talk to them at times, but like right now is probably the least that I've talked to any of them since all that shit went down, because there's a lot of deep-seated aggression and just like bitterness, and I just wanted to completely get away from that. So I was really lucky and happy to be in Doro in a completely new situation and be in Germany and kind of far away from all that,
Yeah. How long? Let me ask you this: looking at that first Britny Fox album cover, how much time did you guys spend on your hair back in the day? Because I'll tell you
that
what,
was a lot of hair.
It's a lot of hair, and it's standing up.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we had, I mean, growing your hair from the first day I decided to, that I was gonna like play drums and be in a band, and looking at magazines and videos. I mean, that was like, that was part of your, your armor or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I spent years growing my hair and trying to figure out how to grow my hair. I mean, at one point, I had hair that looked more like, one guy in the band used to call me Christy McNichol because I had like feathered hair and it was just wavy and straight. And I was like, I got to grow this shit out, so I got a perm. And then my hair looked like a freaking poodle, or some kind of dog. And then once that shit grew out, I was like, I'm never going to do that again. But my hair actually grew like down to my ass. So I was like, okay, now I have what I need. And I guess we have to spray it to high heaven because we have to be, be cooler than the next band or have bigger hair than the next band. It was like we were all kind of battling each other to be more outrageous. So, we spent, we spent some time on it, but it wasn't really like, cosmetology class or anything. Even though I was, Billy Childs used to pay me like $5 a day to tease his hair up before a gig and stuff like that. So I was making a few extra bucks. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking doing that unless you pay me. He's like, all right, I'll give you $5 every gig. And I was like, all right, cool. So, yeah, but we got a lot of shit. We got a lot of flack for that, especially in England, because, they basically took no, they would call anybody out on stuff like that. And once they found out that two of the guys in the band had like, either fake hair or like some kind of supplemental shit going on, they started ripping us in the press. And so that was tough to take because Billy and I had like totally kick-ass real hair, and we had to hear shit about wigs and weaves and this and that. So just part of the whole era, I guess. But hair was an essential part.
Joe, you wore a wig, didn't you?
Nick, I did not wear a wig.
Did you have a toupee or a wig?
I had hair down to my ass.
Yeah, Joe had some long hair.
It was all straight. It was like
Nuno.
Yeah, kind of like Nuno's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just black and straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I was asking how.
In Doro, Joe Taylor, who had like completely poker straight hair that long, like. And,
must be the name Joe.
Yeah, it could be.
Hey, Johnny, do you like trivia?
Yeah, it depends what it is. I mean, if I have,
All right,
something that's in my wheelhouse, sure.
All right, good, because we're going to play a little trivia game, okay?
Well, before we do the trivia, Johnny, tell us a story about you guys in Doro. You guys opened up a Van Halen during the Van Halen 3 tour.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about that. What happened there?
Nick was a huge Van Halen fan.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I love Van Halen. I was just going back and listening to some Alex last week, man. Well, Eddie, obviously. All of them were great, but
Oh yeah.
Alex is the man. So yeah, they came over to Europe on that 3 tour, and I guess they had high hopes that they were going to play some, arenas and big gigs, and ended up that nobody really cared. So they had to switch all the venues down to like some, sort of clubs and smaller halls, maybe 3, 4, 5,000 people tops. And they added Doro to the German shows to kind of get the ticket sales going up a little bit. And so we had 2 gigs with them. One was the first gig was in, I believe we started in Berlin. We played in Berlin, and it was a pretty good gig. It was pretty cool because we did our sound check, and Michael and Eddie came up to us after, and they were really nice, and they were like, "Dude, sounds good, you guys, cool, man, looking forward to it." And I was like, "Holy shit, man, that was fucking awesome," you know.
Right.
And so that gig went off quite well. And then I think we either had a day off or the next day we were in Hamburg, and we were at a club called the Docks, and it's right on the Reeperbahn in the red light district of Hamburg, and this like merchants, area, and it's really pretty seedy, but it's a pretty legendary area for shows and for a lot of other uh, dirty stuff. So anyway, we loaded in. Van Halen were sound checking. They brought some ungodly amount of extra PA in this place to make it completely louder than hell. And so they flew some extra PA, and I mean, literally the walls were shaking in this place when they were doing their sound check. And so we're sitting there. I had a video camera with me, and I'm just like, fanboying out and videoing the stage. And all of a sudden, this white cloud of dust falls from like a 50-foot ceiling. It's like an arch ceiling. It's an old kind of, um, burlesque house, so huge stage with a super high ceiling, and a chunk of plaster falls from about 50 feet up, and you just see a cloud land on Alex,
Oh,
and the music
Ouch.
stops, and everybody is like, "What the fuck just happened?" They turn around, they're looking at Al. He grabs his arm and runs off the stage, and I got it all on video, and I'm like, "Holy shit, dude! It's completely silent," and that was it. So nobody knew what happened. This, ceiling hit Alex in the arm. He was rushed to the hospital, and Eddie was real worried, and everybody was like freaking out. So basically, the show was canceled right from that point forward, and
Damn.
we're just like sitting there, jaws wide open, like, we're not gonna get to play again with them. This sucks, man. I hope he's okay. And that's where it ended, man. They ended up going home, canceling the rest of their dates, and
Man.
yeah, it was a total bummer. But
Well, at least you
yeah.
got the one show in with them.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a moment for us, but yeah, it would have been great to do like a whole tour or something,
Yeah.
where you could get to know the guys a little bit and see them every night. But yeah, that's my Van Halen story.
Is there one tour that's more memorable to you than another?
I have a couple personal favorites. The first one was my first tour ever, and I was in a band called Wasted before Britny Fox, which was Pete Way from UFO and Paul Chapman from UFO, a band based out of England, and I was very lucky to get a gig with them when I was like 21. Went to England and did my first major label record with them, and just, talk about fanboy moments. I was a huge UFO fan as well, so to be playing with these guys that I've just seen in concert, years before, and it was amazing. We had a lot of help from Steve Harris from Maiden, and they were on EMI as well, so Steve took took a lot of our stuff to the label and was instrumental in getting the band signed to EMI. And then he wanted to really repay Pete Way for his friendship and influence, because if you look at Pete and look at Steve, a lot of their playing and bass they play, stuff like that, were similar. He loved Pete, the striped trousers he got from him and stuff like that. So he wanted to repay Pete and help the band out. So we got to go on tour with Iron Maiden for a couple months, and we did a bunch of gigs in like the Eastern Bloc, which I had never been, I think I'd only been in Europe one time. So I got to go to all these countries, and I got to, open for Maiden. And then we came over and did the support slot on the Somewhere in Time tour in the US. So that was 87. Nice. And I was just like freaking out, because that was like, you're going to go on your first tour and you're out opening for Iron Maiden, playing with guys in your band from UFO. That was pretty awesome for me. And then once I got into Britny, we did the Poison tour. That was our first tour, and those guys treated us really, really well. And having a video on MTV and having, usually as a support band, you come out and you want to entertain the people and warm them up, but you don't know if you're going to get, hit with a bottle or like beer, or, are the people going to even be into seeing you and stuff like that. So to come out with a video on MTV and from the first note having the crowd scream and actually having a full, arena of 15,000 people already in their seats waiting to see you, that was a pretty amazing accomplishment for us, and something that I'll never forget.
It's awesome. Nick?
Yeah, it was great.
Yes.
You want to do trivia now?
We can do trivia if you want.
Johnny, you're up for trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's time for the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show trivia game, where we'll quiz our contestants on music and movie trivia from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The first contestant to answer 3 questions correctly wins.
Here's how it works. First person to 3 wins. If you know the answer to the question, just say your name. If you get it wrong, the other person gets the point. Pretty easy. Okay?
So we're all asking a trivia question?
No, I'm going to be the host, and it's you against Nick.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Now, Nick is 1 for 2 in trivia right now.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so you got a good chance.
Is this rock trivia?
It's going to be music and possibly movies.
Okay.
All right. First question. On the Britny Fox debut album, what was the first track on side 2?
Oh, jeez.
In America?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my answer, right? Or are you like, yeah, because is that the answer?
Well, do you know it?
No, Fun in Texas.
Mm-mm.
No.
So,
I mean, albums had different sides back then?
Yeah, remember you used to have to flip that tape?
Remember albums had songs you actually played on and you can't remember what the first song on side 2 was?
See, I thought for sure you would get that, Johnny.
Was it Hold On?
It was Rock Revolution.
He's trying to rig it against me again.
Oh my God, dude. I'm thinking Rock Revolution was the first song on the album, because we always used to open with that, but it was Girl School, right?
It was Girl School, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm not trying to rig it, Nick. That was a legit question right there.
Good question, man. Stumped my ass.
All right. No points. All right. Let's see. Here we go. What police hit began Young Teacher, the subject of
Don't
Schoolgirl?
Stand So Close.
Yes.
Correct.
Johnny gets it. 1-0. Nick, you're losing.
Do better with the police than my own band. That's pretty sad.
That first question was supposed to be a given for you.
I know, man. That's sad.
It's all right.
Oh well.
All right.
I haven't looked at that album in 32 years, if that, is any excuse. But
When's the last time you've heard a song off it?
Well, everybody's always posting, something online and tagging me in it, so there's probably a chance that it wasn't too long back. But
yeah. All right. Question 2. 1-0 Johnny. What Aussie band kicked off a year-long kick tour in 1987?
In Excess.
Correct. Nick.
I played in an In Excess tribute band recently. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay, so that came out
When-
of nowhere.
When was this?
For like the last 5 years, I actually took leave of absence last year because I have a 1-year-old son now. But they're based in South Carolina, actually, in Greenville. They're called Kick, and I played with them for 5 years and had a blast. Some friends of mine from, the singer's from Jersey. That's kind of the connection I had, and the rest of the guys are one's from Connecticut, the rest are from South Carolina. But yeah, it was fun.
Wow. I did not know that. That's kind of funny that we asked an In Excess question.
Yeah, imagine that.
You think I rigged that one too, don't you?
I don't know.
All right, we're going to ask a movie question now.
All
right. What adaptation of Marvel Comics story bombed after Leah Thompson won the lead over Tori Amos?
What? Wow.
Marvel
Gee.
Comics.
Where'd you get that one from?
Yeah, right. I'm not a big comic dude. I would say
I'm gonna Catwoman. Oh, that's DC.
No, wrong, Nick.
Yeah, that's
Nope.
DC.
That means that gives the point to Johnny. Johnny, you won the game.
Oh, nice.
You are the winner.
The answer was Howard the Duck.
Oh,
Oh man.
I wasn't even
Totally
thinking that
forgot
direction.
My buddy will be totally pissed at me and disappointed that I did that.
Is he a big Howard the Duck fan?
He's he's like the most ridiculous comic mind that I know. He's just the dude knows everything. If I ever have a question, it's like, dude, what happened, in issue 5 of Guardians of the Galaxy or what? I mean, I didn't even know Guardians of the Galaxy was a thing till I saw the movie. That's how,
I didn't either.
He knows everything, man, everything. And he even predicts shit from the future. It's like, okay, you need to get a life, bro.
All right. Well, Nick, you got shut out that time.
I got shut out. Oh well.
Nick, you should host.
Congratulations,
next time.
Johnny.
Thank you, sir. You should host next time.
Hey, Johnny, you ever tour Winger?
I know the Winger guys, yeah.
Do you?
Joe loves Winger.
Do you, Joe?
Well, I don't, not really, but
Oh, okay. He's just busting on you like
I'm
Stewart from Beavis.
He's busted on me.
I'm busting on Nick.
Okay.
It's a
No,
little
they're
joke, yeah.
cool dudes, man. I've actually never toured with them, but done a few gigs with them, and lately a couple Monsters of Rock cruises. And but I did go to a couple of their shows back during the Britny days, and I, became friends with Rod, and Red knows me, and yeah, really cool dudes, great musicians.
Yeah, they're very talented.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got
they
a
are.
lot of flack too, man.
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah, they-
but,
That's why Joe gives me flack.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what I give. All right. Johnny, Nick and I play music also, and we write songs. So one time, Nick sent me this guitar riff that sounded to me just like Winger. So I said,
Okay.
Nick, that sounds like
Yeah.
Winger.
He
And
didn't want to do it. I convinced him.
I didn't want to do the song because it sounded like Winger, but we did it. Came out okay. But that's where the Winger reference comes up.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you got sued for plagiarism or something. Then you would really be. Yeah.
No. But nothing wrong with Winger. I actually did an interview with Reb when he was with Dokken, and he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went to their show and did the interview, didn't you?
Yep, I was with him, Mick, and Jeff.
Yeah.
I got that on video somewhere too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Johnny, hey, any plans for Doro coming over to the U.S.? I mean, I don't think she really comes over here that often, does she?
We've been pretty consistent to come over every 3 years, and but not. It's never a long enough tour for people to either A, find out about it, or B, to find a gig that's close to them. You know, we haven't had a long tour in probably 7 or 8 years where we actually did like more than 5 or 6 gigs. You know, we usually come over and we'll do, I think the last tour was about 12 shows with Metal Church co-headlining. And what else? Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, but always hopeful that we'll get, you know, either a longer tour or get some more exposure on a bigger tour. But we were supposed to do about 10 shows this year, and obviously they all got scrapped. We were supposed to do the M3 Festival in Maryland, and yeah, that got pushed till September, I believe, Labor Day weekend, and I don't even know. I mean, what do you guys think? You think any shows are going to happen this summer, or?
The way it looks now, I would say no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I would say there's no way it could happen.
Yeah, so I don't even think by September or, you know, the end of the year that stuff's going to be back to that point. So it's a shame, but everybody's hoping for next year now. And I think when we can, we'll definitely be over there.
Yeah.
When it's
I'll keep an eye out
again.
for it.
Yeah.
I've never seen her. I was a fan. I think I still have a vinyl album of Warlock.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, she's amazing. You know, she gives her all every show, and, you know, really loves the fans, really does it purely for that connection and that kind of, you know, feedback and meeting people and just giving them the best show that she can, you know, and that's kind of why I've stuck around so long, because, you know, it's very genuine. She's a sweetheart, and it's pretty cool to work with somebody like that, you know. And she's, you know, it's her name, it's her gig, but she makes you feel part of the family. I mean, we are family. Everybody in this band has been here longer than like 10 years, and Nick, our bass player, is the only one longer than I have been here, and he's like 29 or 30 years almost soon. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy.
Now, who's in the band now?
Right now, it's as it was in the last, like you said, about 8 or 10 years. Myself and Doro and Nick Douglas on bass. He was there since 1990. We have an Italian guy named Luca Princiata, and he joined about, it's got to be like 12 years ago or something like that. And Bas Maas is a Dutch guy on guitar as well, and he used to be in a band called After Forever, and they're from the Netherlands, and friends of Doro, and when we needed another guitar player, he got a call, and we've been, you know, doing it with this lineup for quite a while, and it works really well, and we all get along really good, and it's a cool situation.
Good. That sounds good. It's
Yeah.
Good when members get along.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's, you know, it's it's not a hard thing to do, really. Just kind of be nice,
Right.
and remember why you're doing it, because
We
there's
need the
actually,
world to be nice.
yeah, people out there that want to hear your music, and it's cool to meet fans and to, just, I mean, there's worse jobs in the world than, I just never could understand why people have to be assholes, just to play music, or, blow people off because they love what you do. Because, call them a pain in the ass or whatever. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't really have the opportunity to be what you're doing what you're doing. So, and
Yeah.
that's Doro's kind of, philosophy. I mean, she appreciates that, and it rubs off on everybody, and
Yeah, you
she's
got to be down to earth. Yeah.
yeah, she's super humble and very cool. Actually, she's got a new single coming out. I think on the 26th, she's dropping a single called Brick Wall. So take a look for that thing.
Yeah, we'll look out for that.
Yeah, like I said, we'll be over there as soon as we can.
Oh, definitely keep an eye out for you.
Definitely.
Cool.
I'll let you know if I can make it to the show. Maybe we can meet up.
Yeah. Or if you're
all
ever
right.
in Germany, get in touch.
I will. I would love to come to Germany.
Yeah, man. Everybody should. I think it's a great place to visit.
All right, Johnny. Well, I appreciate
All
you
right,
taking the
guys.
time, but
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah,
I'm sure
thank
it's
you,
late.
guys.
What time is it over there?
What do you got on your clock? I don't have a clock.
It's about 3:00 here. Still there? Did we lose you?
Hello?
Yeah, there you are.
There you are.
Okay.
Lost you for a minute.
Yeah, did you get that? 9 p.m.?
No, 9:00. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty late over there. All right, man.
Yeah.
Well,
All
listen,
right, guys.
take care. Keep in touch.
Appreciate it, man.
talk to
Yeah,
you.
let me know.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, cool.
Hey, shoot me your address. I'll get you that
I
mug.
will. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
All right. See you.
All right, guys.
See you, Johnny.
Take care.
Take
All
care.
right, stay well. Bye.
You too.
That's all for this week. Join us next week for another episode of the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show podcast. Available on all your favorite podcast listening platforms.